Hey guys, and welcome back to Kitchen Island. I'm Kyle Bowen. Today I wanted to bring a touch of spring to you guys with one of my favorite recipes, which is lemon blueberry bundt cake. So to go ahead and get started, we want to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. And you're also going to want to spray your favorite bundt pan with, and I use the baker's spray because it has a little bit of flour in it, so it actually helps, in my opinion, the batter and cake not stick as easily to the pan. So go ahead and spray that and set that aside. And go ahead and get a mixing bowl together because we're going to mix our dry ingredients separately. So to a bowl you want to add 2 3/4 cup of flour. And to our flour we're going to be adding 1/4 a teaspoon of baking soda and 1 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And to this we're going to be adding 1/4 a teaspoon of salt. Just go ahead and whisk those together. Just get everything incorporated. And go ahead and set this aside because we're going to be using this to add to our wet ingredients. So now we want to get our butter and sugars incorporated. So to our mixer we're going to be adding 1 cup of butter and 2 cups of sugar. For the best cake, I've noticed that if you have all of your ingredients at room temperature, that's really going to give you the best result. So before you start baking your cake, go ahead and set your eggs and your butter out for about 30 minutes just to get to room temperature. And I just want to nuke this in the microwave for about 30 seconds to get nice and soft. So now we've got our butter, so go ahead and add that into our mixer. Then we're going to add 2 cups of sugar to that. So there's 1 and 2. So what you want to do is go ahead and mix this for about 3 minutes till everything is well combined and incorporated. Once that's been going for about 3 minutes, it should be nice and fluffy. So you want to add your eggs one at a time to the batter. These should also be at room temperature. So just one at a time and start mixing that. There's 1. There's our second egg. Let's add our third. And our last egg. So that looks about where you want it, nice and everything mixed in a buttery consistency. So we want to go ahead and slowly add in our flour mixture into our batter. Go ahead and give that a mix again. Start light because you don't want flour to go everywhere. Good. Let's add a little bit more. I love watching flour and batter mix together because it starts off like all just white and then it incorporates, and once that batter starts mixing and creating, it just looks so pretty. All right, and now we're going to put in the last bit of our flour. Alright, that looks about just perfect. So once your batter is all incorporated, you want to remove your bowl from your mixer because the rest of the ingredients you're going to be spooning or folding them by hand. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a spatula and get the rest of this batter off of here into our bowl. You might have a little bit of flour on the side of your mixer, and if you do, go ahead and scrape that off the sides and incorporate that into your batter. Alright, so to our batter, we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of lemon zest, which is the equivalent of the zest of 2 large lemons. So we're going to go ahead and add this before we put our juice in, just so we can get all the aroma and zest from these lemons into our batter. there's one lemon. Got one more. All right. Now that we have the zest, we want to add our lemon juice. So go ahead and juice 2 large lemons. I like to use one of these handy dandy juicers. Right into a glass dish. There we go. All right, so we want about 3 tablespoons of this juice right into our batter. So to this, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And 1 cup of sour cream. And add that right into our batter. And go ahead and fold these in together. Just so fragrant. So now that this is all incorporated, we want to go ahead and get our blueberries together, but before we add them to our batter, we actually want to coat them in 2 tablespoons of flour, because what you don't want to happen is blueberries that sink to the bottom of your cake. So to keep that from happening, coating them in flour helps them stay elevated within the cake. So let's go ahead and get 3 cups of our blueberries into a bowl. There's 1 cup. And 3 cups plus 1. So now we're going to coat this with 2 tablespoons of flour. Again, just to coat these and keep them from falling down into our cake. Go ahead and give these a little toss in the bowl, just to make sure to coat all your blueberries. Now that you have those coated, you want to go ahead and pour those into your batter. Have a little bit of flour at the bottom, so that's all right. And go ahead and gently fold this in. Now it's time to pour into our prepared Bundt hand that we've already sprayed previously. So go ahead and disperse this evenly into your Bundt pan. So once you've poured your batter into your prepared Bundt pan, you're going to want to bake this at 350 degrees, which we've already preheated, for 60 minutes. If you take the cake out and you insert a knife into the center and you notice that there's still some batter left on it, pop it in for another 10 or 15 minutes just to make sure that everything is incorporated. So let's go ahead and pop this into the oven. After we let our Bundt cake cook for the allotted time, we're going to take it out, let it cool, and then we're going to make our icing to go over this delicious cake. So it's been about 60 minutes since we put our Bundt cake into the oven, so let's go ahead and check it to make sure that it's done. So now we're going to take a knife and stick it down into the center to make sure that it's done. And it comes out clean, so we are good to go. So now we've taken our Bundt cake out of the oven, we tested it, no crumbs are coming out on the knife, so we're good to go. So we're going to let this sit for about 10 to 15 minutes before we turn it out onto a wire rack to finish cooling. So in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and make our icing for the Bundt cake. You first want to go ahead and melt 1.5 tablespoons of butter. Now our butter has just melted, so we want to kind of let this cool a little bit. So while that's cooling, we want to go ahead and add our 2 cups of powdered sugar into our mixer. Let's go ahead and get that added into the mixer. So to this, icing, we're going to be adding about 1 tablespoon of lemon zest, which is going to be the equivalent of about 1.5 of your lemons. So let's go ahead and get some zest here. We can go ahead and get this incorporated into our powdered sugar. Now we're going to add about 1/3 cup of this lemon juice. So go ahead and cut your lemon in half. Get all that juice out of there. Just pour it right in. And then we're going to add just a pinch of salt right in. Go ahead and turn this on a low speed and start incorporating all those ingredients together. So we have our powdered sugar, our lemon zest, our lemon juice, and a pinch of salt. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and add my butter into my icing. So my icing is actually a little bit more liquidy than I want it to be, so I'm going to go ahead and add another 1/4 cup of powdered sugar into this. But again, this is up to you and your preference. If you like a more runny, more translucent icing, you can leave it as is, but if you're like me, I kind of like a thicker icing to go on my cake, so I'm going to add a little bit more sugar, but it's totally up to you. This consistency I like. So now that our icing is made, we're gonna go ahead and put this into a piping bag. So when we get ready to decorate our bundt cake, everything will be ready and all we have to do is assemble. So I'm gonna do that and clean up a little bit because I made a mess. So now our bundt cake is cooled and I've turned it out onto a cooling rack to finish cooling. It cooled about another 20 minutes and then I plated it on top of this cake stand. So now comes the fun part of decorating with our icing that we created. So once you have it in a piping bag, you're just going to cut off the very tip of it at an angle and you're ready to go. So you can decorate this however you want to, and this icing's going to start coming out really quick. You can decorate this however you want to. I personally like to go in each of the ridges just because I feel like it creates a nice look. And I'm all about symmetry, so let's go at it. To top it off, I'll just go and do a bit of lemon zest. Again, I like lemon, so there you have it, lemon blueberry bundt cake. Again, I am in such a spring mood right now, so this is the perfect treat to kind of ease that pain until the actual season gets here. So be sure and check out my blog for the full recipe, subscribe to my YouTube channel below, and I'll see you guys next time.